let me go back to Scott, a first-time caller out of Nebraska, and Scott was talking about what happened, what should we do if our children are being taken away by the courts. You know, our women, not all women, but most women take the kids, take the father to court to take his children away from him. And the court is supporting that because of their hatred of men. And then, and now the liberals are turning the children, their physical part, not because you can't change the real nature, right? But they're taking off the boys' body parts and put girls' part on them and giving the girls the boys' body part and calling it something that it's not. Scott will know, well, what do you do about that with the children? And I had to put them on hold. We ran out of time. Am I right about that? Am I right about that, Scott?
Yeah, you're right. I wanted to know kind of like when the left attacks our children, when evil attacks our children in the world, you know, as conservative and Christian people, how can we do our best to keep the children from, like you said, if the children feel a loss, that's them replacing or substituting something else for God. So if they feel like a loss of security and they miss their family, I mean, you know, that's kind of like falling away from the grace of God. So how do we keep our children strong in faith during a time so trying?
Well, the only reason the children are going to feel that way is because they're just like their parents. The parents are not of God. They're not a part of God. They may go to church and read the Bible and hoop and holler, but they're not of God. And so the kids are born into a family where the mother and father are angry, and the mother end up changing the children into her image, that of the devil. And then the father too weak to protect the children from the mother. And so because he's married to his mother, live with, you know, either married to her, live with her or something, because he married a woman that was just like his mother, so he couldn't protect his children. And so it destroys the innocence of the children. And so that emotional, the lack of love that kids feel, it starts in the home because they've been turned away from their fathers, their earthly fathers. And so when they go out into the world just picks up where the parents failed and they add to it. It is the responsibility of the father and the mother to protect their children, to raise their children, whatever it takes. Homeschool, you know, the wife stay home and be a mother to the man's children, homeschool them. And then because you can't blame the world for what they're doing, they do what they do. Just as the mother, the world is of the devil. And so, and the parents are failing to protect the children from that now. But it's just the same thing that's going on outside the home is going on inside the home as well.
So the father, then in that specific scenario, the father just needs to fight harder or fight better.
He need to overcome his anger, so his heart can God can change his heart from anger to love, and then the light of God is greater than the darkness. It will guide him in how to deal with the battle outside of him, and you cannot lose then because there's no such thing as losing a battle when you're truly of God.
Okay. All right, man. I appreciate it, man. Keep doing the work that you're doing. You're doing great.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
It's amazing.
That makes sense, Scott.
Yeah. To a point. I mean, it's only so much you can do in the world. Like,
let's say that. Oh, go ahead. Finish your point.
Well, I'm just saying. So, if we consider that maybe the courts aren't giving a fair shake, like, okay, I got a point for you. You know that the United States is the only nation in the world that didn't ratify the CRC, which is the 1993 Convention on the Rights of the Child that was held by the UN. It's a treaty that was ratified by every other nation. But the U.S. didn't ratify it. One of the reasons I'm asserting that they didn't ratify it is because there's protections against child mutilation that are in the CRC, that are like Somalia, and there's certain countries where there's a cultural practice where there's a cultural practice called female genital mutilation, and it's used to try and, it's a long story. It's a cultural reason that they do it, but that's something that the CRC is meant to discourage. And so in third world countries where the UN is organizing to drive out this practice, for some reason there's some leftists with perceived to be a globalist agenda that are promoting it in well-developed, top-of-the-line countries. I don't know what you want to call America, the first-rate country. And so why is it that people are promoting things that we know are unhealthy for children? All the research, all the literature in the medical profession tells us it's unhealthy for children. Child advocates oppose it. Somehow it gets done anyway.
Well, that's because number one is they hate children. They hate innocent. They hate God, so they hate children. They hate the family. They hate the family. But number two is that we should not be involved in the UN, the United Nations, at all. Right. And we should give the United Nations the finger, and they should have any involvement in our country at all, because the United Nations is a corrupt organization, and they never have had, or nor will they have intent to do the right thing. We have our own country. We don't need to give authority to any other country over us. So we need to get out of the UN and take back our country.
No, I agree. No, I understand what you're saying.
We ain't got no business listening to them. And because the country is listening to the stupid UN, we're getting what we deserve, because you're listening to the devil. We're not supposed to give over our country to someone else.
Well, in that particular situation, they rejected the CRC.
Well, I'm glad, but I don't know what that means, but we are not supposed to be a part of anyone else but America. We don't give our country over to someone else and let them come up with their ideas of what we should be doing. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I know what you mean. I guess I'm not sure what you do about the fact that, see, if people reject God, if they reject the supposition of the individual being created in the image of God, right, if they reject all of our individualism, then, see, the way that the left plays is, my father's side of the family is Lakota. My mother's side of the family is German. Well, I don't know what group they would relegate me to, right? Because you're not even in socialism and in Marxism. The way that it culturally works is that there is no individual. You're just a piece of that group, and whatever your experiences or actions can be used to advance the group, that's the only value that you have. So people who reject God, they don't believe that I should be judged on my actions, or we should judge the mother on her actions. They just believe we should judge each person by the monolith that they subscribe them to. So if you're a mom and we say that moms are generally better than fathers, then you should have the kid. And if you're a father and we believe that, fathers are generally not as apt or capable as mothers, then you shouldn't have the kid. And it's because they're destroying the value of the individual. So what I'm saying is we have people right now in our country that have rejected God. And because they've rejected God, they don't believe that there's any such thing as an individual person.
You're right about that. You're right about that. We should never identify with groups. We should never identify with anything but God, And when you identify, and when I say identify with him, it doesn't mean what it sounds like I mean, because you hear that word all the time from the Christians. Oh, I identify with God, but they have no love, right? I identify with God, but they're fighting and not getting along in their marriages. They're judging themselves and others. And so I mean it in a different way. But in the good old days when boys were boys and men were men, when there was a divorce or a separation in the family, the children stayed with the fathers. They did not give them to the mothers, because it was clearly understood then by men and women that women don't have the ability to lead. It's not in their nature to lead. They were created to follow. And that women were very emotional, very mental and emotional. And that all they do is screw up kids. They need a man to guide them. That was understood. But that changed when the so-called feminist movement started, and,
Yeah.
and men gave in to the woman. And as you know, every time you listen to the woman, you will suffer. And so men gave
There's studies
into.
and all that stuff.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I said, yeah, you're right. No, all that stuff, it all comes from gender studies. And in 1981, they developed there's a, what's the word? A, so, a social model, I guess, called the Duluth
But
model.
see, you can't even blame that because the parents send their children to these studies. They're not going to the house and getting your kids. The parents are volunteering and sending their children into these schools and places like that. And they're, in some cases, in the university, they're paying for the teachers to do that to their children because the men are too weak to make the wives stay home and watch over their children and raise their children. And the women are so selfish, they have no love, and they'd rather feed their ego than to take care of the children. They love their ego more than anything. And so
Right.
you still can't blame the schools for that because if you didn't
Oh,
send
no,
your kids to the gender studies, they could study the genders.
no, I understand that. No, what I'm saying is that there's something called the Duluth model developed in Duluth, Minnesota, which is a model that leaked out into our social services, and it controls our social services. And you can look it up, and it's still active right now, and they're still training our social service systems in it. And what it says is that women can't commit abuse.
And that's a
They're
lie.
not capable of it. Yeah, I know it's a lie, but this is what they train our social services in. So this is what our government is trained in. I'm saying it's not even the government's fault because the people who are trained up in this manner of thinking, they're indoctrinated, and they don't understand that they're misperceiving the problem, so they can't solve it correctly.
So then let them just suffer and die. That's what God does. Have you noticed that?
No, I feel it. No, I know what you're saying. Like it's going to phase itself out. The weakness going to phase itself out from humanity, and it's eventually, it's an evolutionary process.
You notice how if you don't want to stop being an alcoholic, or if you don't want to give up your pride, if you want to be homeless, if you want to live with women without being married, if you want to marry the wrong woman, they take your kids to court and take your kids away. God will just let you do those things. You're right. He's not going to try to stop you until you start to see what is wrong with you, that you're in this mess. And when you start questioning what is wrong with yourself, that's when things will start to change for you. It won't change for the world around you, but it will change for you. And then you can live on earth in paradise without all the problems.
Okay.
You have children, Scott?
Yeah, I got two, and that's what I was saying is that's where I messed up at. I made a mistake because me and my daughter's mother, we moved too fast, and we just kind of rushed. That honeymoon phase. We got kind of taken with each other, and we were together all the time. We were attached at the hip, and we were engaged, but we got married before. I mean, we got pregnant before we got married.
Oh, you got pregnant?
No, man. You know what I mean.
What do you mean by we got pregnant?
No, I just mean that she and I conceived a baby together.
Oh, because we didn't get pregnant. She got
it.
pregnant.
Yeah, she carried it.
Right.
What? You got me there. Okay, but you know what I mean. I was just trying to sound supportive. But I'm saying, okay, so she got pregnant, and we weren't married. And because we're not married, I have no legal rights to my children, right? Yeah. So now what happened was we got married. We got married. We had a baby, and after we had the baby, because we weren't married, this is what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to rush into a marriage and disrespect the institution of marriage by getting married just to get divorced the next year. Like, I just threw an anniversary party for my parents, and it was their 50th wedding anniversary. And I watched them dance and, put on the music, and it was so magical. It meant something so much because I remember watching my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary. And so it's important to carry on things like that, and I didn't want to screw it up. So I wanted to just take it slow. But as soon as the baby came, she started making threats against the baby. Like, look, it's my way or the highway. You're going to change the radio station or the baby going to get it. And I was like, hold on now. wait a second, pump your brakes, you know. But it just moved too fast. And that's because she'd been indoctrinated to believe that mothers are the sole purveyors of children and that a man doesn't have any right to say what is or isn't done with his child. And, you know, in her past, the way that she was raised, her mother told her that she had 5 dads because every time that she got a new boyfriend, she would say, "This is your dad now."
What
and
a
she'd
slut.
say, yeah. And I told her that when she started telling me that, like, we moved too quick and she got pregnant too quick. And once we started talking about family, I realized, oh, man, I'm in over my head because if we had moved a little bit slower, I would have told her, hey, listen, I'm not going to have a baby with somebody who thinks that a child can have 5 fathers.
Yeah.
And I admit my mistake, you know, that I moved too fast. I was being led around by my wrong intentions, you know?
Absolutely.
It was a physical thing, man, and I got sucked into it, and I made a mistake there. But from that point on, I made a decision to make only the right decisions and to do only the right thing. And so I put my children first.
So you have 2 children by this woman?
By the same woman because...
Did you marry her?
No. What I did was when I had the first one with her, we moved to Texas, had the baby, and then we came to Nebraska because she had a lot of family in Nebraska. I'm from Texas. And so we moved to Nebraska where her family was. And once we got into a fight and I told her, listen, I don't agree with you on certain things as far as parenting goes, and we might have to separate and sort this out in court because there's certain things that you want to do in raising my child that I don't approve of. Like I want my child to go to church, things like that. And because we had these big differences, she tried to take my daughter and kind of hold her hostage. Like she disappeared with her, and I didn't know where she was. And she would call me private and tell me, if you want to get back together with me, we'll talk about, you know, you having some kind of custody or something. I'd say, hey, I'm not going to have my arm twisted about my kid, okay? Because I have to be objective. I have to be able to stay, like you said, you can't let emotion lead you. You can't let anger, you know, interfere with how you do what you have to do as a parent to make sure your kids are safe. So I was like, I'm taking care of my responsibilities, and if you won't reason with me and talk to me reasonably, I'll go to the court, and I'll get a third party involved. I'll get a neutral party, and the court will, you know, just service to make sure that both parents are afforded their proper opportunity, you know, to present a case for custody or whatnot. Well, the court system, like I said, is horribly biased, so I couldn't even get a fair shake. I couldn't even get a court date. I couldn't get to talk to anybody, and meanwhile, she's still calling me, right? She's still calling me and telling me, you can have your kid back when you sleep with me again.
So,
and I went to the court over and over, man. I actually sat in the courthouse, and they threw me in jail. I came into the courthouse, and I said, listen, nobody's doing anything. My kid's been missing from this county for 4 months, okay? And she's in trouble. She's with her mother. Her mother's acting unreasonable. I'm asking for help. And they said, sir, we don't know where you need to go, but it's not here. Just get out of here. And I said, listen, I'm not raising my voice. I'm not, you know, disrespecting anybody. I haven't cussed or anything like that. I said, but I'm not going to leave until somebody tells me what I should do about my kid. And they threw me in jail. They said, you're trespassing. So I didn't have any choice, really. I kind of felt like I felt like I was between a rock and a hard place. And I told her mom, she was constantly inboxing me and asking me, you ready? You had enough yet? You want to get back together? And I told her, hey, come on, bring the kid back. Bring my daughter back. We'll work it out, you know. And when she brought my daughter back, my daughter's bones were sticking out of her skin. And I had found out where my daughter was. She was in the state of Kansas, and I had reported it to the Kansas Children and Family Services. Hey, my daughter's been abducted and is being held in your state. Will you please look into it? And they wouldn't do anything. And so I got my daughter back. She was skin and bones. I took her in for a year-well check, and the doctor's office confirmed it. They told me she'd suffered a failure to thrive in childhood, that she'd been malnourished. She couldn't crawl. She couldn't stand. She was a year old. And so I told her mom, I said, hey, man, what the hell were you thinking? And they told me, they said, hey, you know, come on, Dad, it's her first kid. And they didn't realize when they first made the assessment, they didn't realize that we were separated at the time when the child suffered the child abuse. So once they found out that it occurred in the mother's care, they started trying to bury it. And I was like, look, I can't be with you. You know what I mean? You've hurt my child, and you won't explain yourself to me. And I told her, maybe we need to take some space. I was hoping that maybe we could both grow and we could figure that out in the future, but we never ended up working it out because she never felt like she was subject to explanation for what had happened to my daughter. And then I asked the lawyer, well, what should I do? You know, because he told me, he's like, aren't you guys getting back together? I was like, no, I want something on paper.
And I was like, we can't work this out. And I just want to make sure that this doesn't happen to my kid again, man. So he went to the court and he drew up a generic custody order, which is 50-50 custody, week on, week off. And we split, we alternate holidays. And as we started going in this week on, week off custody order, he told me just stick to the week on, week off thing. Don't engage with her. If she's trying to argue with you, don't get drawn into it. Just, pick up your kid, show up, drop your kid back off. Hello, how you doing? Thank you. Have a nice night. And that's exactly what I did. And we got about 6 months into it, and she started showing. And I was like, are you pregnant? And she was like, yeah, because I had to sleep with her to get my daughter back. So now she took the second child. My son, I haven't been able to get any kind of rights to. When I filed things for him in court, when I filed for because in Nebraska you have to file a separate action to establish paternity before I can even ask for custody. So since we weren't married, I have to get a blood test. And then I take the blood test to the court and say, look, this is my son. I want custody of him. I want him to live with me. Or I want, half custody. Or I want legal rights, or I just want whatever. And so in order to get that, all she has to do is block me on a DNA test. And every time I filed for a DNA test or I asked, to hear it in court, she would just avoid me and tell me if I asked for my son, I wasn't going to get my daughter back. And I'm like, you can't do that because I have legal rights to him. I have legal rights to her. I actually have custody of my daughter. And she started showing me how she could just tell me no when I show up to pick up my daughter, and the police will not do anything. And I have to go to the court system, and the court system will not do anything. And it's this leftist indoctrination that's overrun our society that blinds people as to things so basic as the best interest of a child. Right now, I haven't been allowed to see my daughter since June of, it was started in June. My visit started in June. They went till about August, really. But in June, I got my visitation with my daughter because they placed her with her mother. And she was losing weight over there. Her mother was keeping food from her. I started bringing food to her, and they told me, if you don't stop bringing food to your child, you won't see her again. So I went to the Capitol, and I talked to the head office, and I asked the policy director, why would you ever advise a parent that they'll lose their rights to their children or they'll lose contact with their children for feeding them? And he said, that's incorrect. He said, we support the exact opposite of that. He said, by policy, if you're a parent and you have a visit that goes over a mealtime period and you don't provide a meal to your child, you could be seen as negligent. And I said, right. It seemed counterintuitive. And he said, it is. He said, listen, that's not our policy. He said, those people are wholly wrong, 100%. And he said, but we don't know stuff like this until we get a parent that comes back and tells us this stuff, brings it back to us. See, it's a bureaucracy. And he said, so you don't know what you don't know. And that guy was a good guy. His name was Steve Green. He was the policy director for the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. And as soon as I brought it to his attention, he started rolling heads. He's gone now. He's gone because there's more leftists.
How is it? Are you able to see your children now?
No, sir, not right now.
See,
I'm working on it.
Scott, let me tell you this. You are one of the most weakest, pathetic men I ever heard of.
I'm working on it.
You are weak and pathetic, and you're getting what you deserve. You're not learning your lessons at all. You're getting deeper into hell. It's so weak. I've seen weak men. I've been weak myself. But this take the cake. Number one, okay, you should have never made a baby with her. I did the same thing. I messed up in the same way in that area. But I learned from it and never made another baby out of wedlock. Number two, you should have never followed her to Nebraska. Your family, you live in Texas. Never, ever, ever follow or listen to a woman. When you do, you will truly suffer. So you should have never followed her to Nebraska because she's with you. You're the family now, not her blood family. It's you now. You follow her there. You show her how important your child was to you till you went and had sex with this stupid woman that made another baby. That's ridiculous. So you're truly getting what you deserve and not learning a lesson from any of it. You're just digging a deeper hole for yourself. May I tell you how to get out of that hole?
Yeah.
Hold on for me. Let me take a quick break, all right?
All right.
I got to take a quick break. It's Manhood Hour. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, folks, welcome back. 888-7753-773. 888-77-JESSE. Jesse. Early in the show, there was some talk about Danny Williams, the alleged son of Bill Clinton, right? And I interviewed Danny Williams, the quote-unquote allegedly son of Bill Clinton. So check that out, all right? It's called Danny Williams Need His Father. Why Bill Clinton won't do the DNA test, something like that, on YouTube. So check it out. No hate report today. Podcast hate. You can podcast the hate report, but no hate report. .com. What else? Men's Forum tomorrow night at 7 p.m., guys. Men's Forum for men only every first Thursday night of the month, and every third Thursday night for the ladies, and Sundays for everybody. I want to go back to Scott. There is a line open. You want to jump in there. One line, 888-7753-773. 888-77-JESSE. I want to go back to Scott. And if you didn't hear, Scott has been dealing with this woman about his children. He had sex with her, made another baby. Long story short. And Scott, are you a Christian?
Yes, sir.
I want to remind you, folks, to podcast yesterday of the hatereport.com with Joel guest hosting podcast yesterday, Hate Report, guest host by Joel. All right? Check it out. Scott, did you say you were a Christian?
Yes, sir.
So is God helping you in this situation?
Yeah.
How is he helping you?
Okay, so I have to be patient enough to allow it to play out to a degree. It's like these people are exposing themselves with their actions.
How is God helping you?
Oh, because it gives me peace.
You don't have peace.
I probably don't have enough. Yeah, I probably don't.
If you don't have peace,
yeah.
If you don't say a little peace. Either you have it or you don't have it.
No, you're right, man. You're right. I don't have it, man. I'm always worried about my kids. It's hard.
So why?
See, okay.
So why do you think God is helping you then? If you don't have peace, you don't have your children. It's hard. Why do you think God is helping you?
Because I know the book of Job. Because I know you can be tested because God needs to use you for a purpose.
I know Job, and I just met you. You ain't no Job. Let me tell you, man, I understand, all right? I totally understand it. But you need to let this go. You need to give up. You need to block that bitch and never talk to her again.
But I know. But I raised my daughter until she was 8 years old.
I know, I understand.
I taught her how to walk. She lived with me, and I taught her everything.
Scott, you love these children more than you love God. And if you put anything before God, then you would never know God, and you would never find peace, and you're going to always go through this hell. You got to put this aside, and because it's all emotional, it's all ego, and everybody think they Job. This ain't Job. What the? But you got to let all this go and be still and know God so you can overcome the fallen state, and then God will guide you. He can't guide you right now because you know the book of Job, thinking that you're Job. You ain't Job, man. What the? And
no, I know though that you have to have your faith tested at times.
No, you're not having faith tested because you don't have no faith. This is not how faith operates. Faith let go and let God just take care of the work, right? He'll show you the steps to take, but you don't have faith. You believe in these children. You believe in your ego. You believe in the Bible, but you don't believe in God. So here's what I recommend. You're emotional just like your mama. You're you're going down the wrong path, man. And these people are using you. The courts are using you. This woman is using you. Her family are using you. And the devil is using you. You got to cut it out if you want this thing to work out for you.
Okay.
So you got to let it go. It's too important to you. You remember how they were trying to make a decision whether they could cut the child in half or just give the person the child?
Solomon. Yes, sir. The judgment of King Solomon.
So then give the child to the mama and move on with your life. And
Right.
here's what I recommend.
But she's worse off for it, man. Like, she's losing her vision now and some more stuff.
I know,
like,
but that's not your fault.
Yeah, but I'm supposed to protect her from it.
But you
know what I
can't
mean?
because you've done it the wrong way.
Yeah, I know, you're right.
You're
right
dealing
about
with
that.
the devil, and the devil is in you is fighting with the devil. And you got two devils fighting. All you're doing is feeding the devil by fighting with the devil. If you want to overcome the devil, you got to stop fighting with the devil and let God take care of that. So here's what I recommend. Do what you want, of course. It's on you.
No, I see what you're saying. I understand. I do see what you're saying.
And so it's on you, but I'm just giving you my best advice.
I
You
appreciate
stop this. Move back to Texas. Block this woman. And here, seek the kingdom of God. Go and forgive your mother for making you just like her, so weak and emotional, and turning you away from your father, your earthly father, which turned you away from God. Forgive your mother for doing this to you. Forgive your father for not protecting you from your mother. He couldn't help it. He was married to his mama. He didn't know how to deal with it. You got to start working on you so you can enter into the kingdom of heaven within and let the light of God, the love, fight your battles for you. Right now, you are using the devil to fight your battle and not God.
Because I'm angry, huh?
Yes, you're just like
I
your
don't
mama.
mean to be. I don't even notice that. I feel like I'm being protective of my kid, but it's like it makes this anger in me, and that's true.
It's all anger. It's all devil. And you think just because you read the book of Job that is of God, and it's not. You're not Job. You're nowhere near Job. You are a son of the devil right now. And so you need to drop this, man, so you can overcome the anger. All anger is evil all the time. It's the nature of the devil. You need you need a new nature.
Yeah, you're right.
So you need to get out of Nebraska, or at least get far away from her, because you should never listen to or follow a woman. Every time a man does, he suffers. And that's what you're doing now. You're suffering. And you done had sex with this woman and made another baby with the devil.
Man.
How blind you are, man. So I recommend you go and forgive your mother for what she's done to you.
Yeah.
Don't ask for forgiveness. You forgive her. She couldn't help herself. Her mother did it to her. And forgive your father. And do the silent prayer. You heard me talk about the silent prayer?
Right.
www.silentprayer.video. Are you doing that?
I'm going to go look at it. I just heard it just today when I was listening.
And so do that so God can bring you, when you forgive your parents, God going to forgive you, and he'll take away the spirit of the devil from your heart. He would take that away, and he would give you a brand new heart. He would give you his heart, which is love. And love is not an emotion at all. God's love is dispassionate. You're caught up in the devil's love, calling it God.
So what is it, like resentment?
Yeah.
I'm hurting because I'm driven by resentment. I'm angry.
Yep.
Is that okay?
You're of your father, the devil.
I get it.
You're just like your mama.
No, I get it. I got the wrong motivation. It's the wrong thing in my heart. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, and the devil messing with your mind. Oh, she's going to die. She's going to get thin. You can't do anything about that. That's on that woman, not on you. You've done your best. Let it go.
No, you're right, man.
It's not on you. And let that go, man. And go and do the silent prayer. Forgive your parents. And block that woman. And next time she's trying to tell you, oh, if you have sex with me, then you can see your child. You give her the finger.
You're right. No, you're right.
You got to work on you, man. You're going down a road of destruction right now. All in the name of Jesus.
No, you're right, man. Like, but I called you up because you tell it like it is, man. I need you to tell me like it is. So, I mean, whether it's what I thought you was going to say or not, it's probably the right thing that I need to be hearing. So, thank you for that. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, and so
it's true. I'll be a week, and there's a better way that I could be going about it, and I'm driven by the wrong intentions. If I wasn't pushed by resentment, and if I wasn't allowing things to make me, I'm out of character because I'm not focused. Balance.
You're angry. You're of your father, the devil.
I'm sorry.
And you're fighting with the devil. That woman is of the devil, and so are you. And two devils fighting is what the devil loves. He loves for you to fight. He loves for you to be emotional, feel good or feel bad. He loves for you to identify with the wrong spirit. And that's what you're doing.
Right.
And so let this go, man.
All right.
And don't let the devil tell you, don't let the devil make you feel guilty. Oh, you leaving your children. You're supposed to fight for your children. Whoever made up that lie that men are supposed to fight for their children in court and all that, they lied to you. They were giving in to the woman once again. They were giving room to the devil to defeat you and destroy you. They lied to you. Because the fact that this woman is taking your child to court to keep you or make you pay child support or keep the child from you, that's evil. That's an evil woman. And that's the devil. And you can't fight it by going spending your money in court.
Right.
Because the courts are on the side of the devil.
Right.
And so
the best thing I can do for me is focus on me.
Yes, sir.
Be the best I can be, so when my kids need me, I'll be there for them later.
Don't you worry about that. Don't think that way either. That's another lie. That's another thought. You get right because you're in hell and you want to come out of hell. You want to be a son of God. You want to be of the Father. Right now, you're of the devil.
Okay.
And every thought that you get about anything, except practical thoughts, I got to go to work. I need to prepare for my job tomorrow, right? Those are practical thoughts. But every thought that you get about those children, that woman, or anything, are lies. It's a setup. Let them pass.
And any thought that's motivating me, that's not just go to work or tie your shoes. It should be about God.
No,
I should be following God. Basically, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to break it reductively down where I can swallow it. So I'm supposed to be more focused on God, and that'll keep me from being distracted and driven by the wrong spirit or pushed by the wrong thing.
Well, I'll put it this way. If you start to seek God, be still, and just seek Him, your focus will be there, and you'll be fine.
Okay.
You'll be fine. But you need to get off this dark train that you're on. You need to let that die. That's not you. And in all honesty, I don't have time to really get into it, but I'll just put it out there for you, and maybe somebody else might want to hear it. Oh. This thing that you're doing, the emotions you feel, the ideas you have, the way you're acting, it's not you. That's the ego nature of the devil pretending to be you. And you have identified with it as though it's you, but it's a spirit that made a home in you. And it making you do the things that you don't want to do and preventing you from doing right, doing the things you should do. It's not you.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm protecting my kids and all this. It's really my ego. It's me trying to feel myself. Well, it's the devil.
It's the devil. It's not even you, but you've identified with it as though it is you.
Right. No, I get it. No, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Okay.
The devil is lying to you about, I'm trying to protect my children. It's all about you. It's not about the children.
Right. No, you're right. No, I see what you're saying. I see it. It's a perspective that I didn't have. It's something I was missing right there.
Yes, we're all blind to it because no one tell us, and most people are not going to start questioning themselves. What's wrong with me? How come I'm acting this? If I believe in God, why do I still have fear? Why do I still
Right.
have anger? Most people are not going to question themselves like that.
But they should be. And yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
No, you got it. You got it. Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. God bless you, for real.
And God bless you. So,
everybody call up and get this good knowledge that you got. You know what I mean? I appreciate you. Wasn't nobody on the phone telling me, all right, you want to talk to Jesse? You got your credit card ready. It's going to be $29.99. They just said, you want to talk to Jesse? You can talk to Jesse. Hold on a second. So I appreciate you, man. And the work that you're doing is vital. And keep doing it, man. Keep it up. God bless you, for real.
You too, man. But listen, do the silent prayer, right? And stay with it. I don't care. Because once you start doing the silent prayer, the devil going to come at you like 90 going north from all directions. People going to turn on you, your family members, and everybody. It's just going to be a mess because the devil doesn't want to lose your soul. And he's going to start screaming at you. He's going to bring some of his little demons to try to get you. But you stay still and relax in it and go through the fire, but have no opinion about it. Don't call it good or evil. You just watch. Watch the not you thoughts, all right? Have no opinion and just relax and let it happen. Life will happen on its own. You'll be fine.
All right. I'm gonna go on the prayer channel.
www.silentprayer.video.
Okay.
And
www.silentprayer.video.
Yeah,
Right.
and don't let the devil talk you out of forgiving your mother
All right.
and your father. Because the devil going to tell you, oh, you're going to hurt her feelings. Or what about this if she get mad? What about this? Let her act any kind of way she want to act. Don't have any expectation from either one of them. God said, go and forgive, and I will forgive you. Don't ask them for forgiveness. You forgive them for what they've done, and God will forgive you.
There's no lie. Me and my father were kind of at odds with each other for like the past about 3 years. We even didn't really talk. We had kind of radio silence. And I listened to what you said about fathers, and I listened just in general about parents. And you made me decide that I'm going to go to my daddy. I'm going to tell him, you know, exactly what you said. Say, hey, I'm sorry for resenting you or for being angry with you. And you did the best that you could. You did a great job. You know what I mean?
Why have you done that with your mother?
Because I just heard it like yesterday and I haven't seen him yet. But I'm about to go and tell him probably tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. Like I said, like I hear the stuff that you say and it all makes sense. And so I realize sometimes that there's stuff that was going right over my head that I should have picked up on a long time ago. But that's one of them. I need to go and tell them both. Yeah, tell them both.
Absolutely.
So there's nothing for me to be mad about, and I should feel blessed by that. And thank you.
And you're welcome, man. But listen, let that woman and those children go.
Okay.
Because it's destroying you. You're not winning.
Right. No, that's true.
And then that doesn't mean, because you're going through it, doesn't mean you love them. All that emotional crap you feel, it's all ego, and it's about you.
Yeah, it's not helping them.
It's not helping.
With that.
That's
right.
right.
Helping them, so it's not doing them any good.
Right.
It's not like, I love you guys. That's why I'm sitting here struggling. I ain't doing nothing but struggling.
Yep, absolutely.
Too much suffering in life as it is. All right, man. God bless you, man. I appreciate you taking my call, man. Have a good day.
I wish you well, all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jesse, man. Keep it up.
I will. Amazing. What a manhood hour, huh? I'm telling you, as a living witness, in order to live, you must die. The ego, the imagination, and emotions must be taken away from you. Everything will fall away when that falls away. All your little vices, whatever it might be, is of the devil, it's not of you. You just have identified with it as you because the world said that's you. And you repeat what the world tell you, or the dumb preachers or someone else tell you. You identify with the wrong spirit. It's not you. And in all honesty, the real you, the real you. So don't hold on to this idea, right? Because you hold on to it, the devil going to use it against you. Let all words go in one ear and out the other. But the real you is not guilty of anything. You have never done anything wrong. It's the not you that you've identified with thinking that is you that's been doing wrong. And it make you feel guilty. And it's not even you feeling guilty. It's the devil's nature feeling guilty, making you feel like, because you feel the pain of the devil in your body, you feel guilty. And then he give you certain words. Now you think it's you. You have no idea who you are, and you have no idea about God. Zero. You got to let him go. But you can't let him go until the heart change. Salvation is of the heart, not of the vices. You're never going to keep the Ten Commandments until the heart changes. And then the ego die. Then you just live the Ten Commandments without trying to keep them. Of ourselves, we can do nothing. Not one person on this earth. And men, women need you to wake up. And women, a lot of men ain't going to wake up, but you can wake up without the man. Even if you are married, forgive him. You knew what you were getting into because you wanted to control him. Now you're unhappy. You have a love-hate relationship for that. Forgive your parents. Don't resent the weakness of your husband or your little live-in boyfriend. And God will forgive you. And you can be fine right there in that mess. All right? Amazing. Isn't that amazing?